So, Jai Sadgurudeo, good morning to all of you. Welcome to the weekly English Satsang organized by North American Institute of Vihangam Yoga. My name is Anand Gupta, and I have joined this Satsang from Morrisville, North Carolina. Before I proceed further, I would like to offer my prayers to Lotus feet of Sadgurudeo. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Gurur Sakshat Par Brahma, Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. In the current time, our day-to-day life has become busy in fulfilling our physical and mental requirements and social responsibilities. In this fast-paced routine life, the requirements of the soul are often forgotten. So first, I would like to congratulate each one of you for taking some time from your busy schedule to fulfill the requirement of your soul through satsang. Now we'll move to the next section of the satsang, where we'll have a conversation on the topic of discipline in spirituality. We are blessed today to have an experienced practitioner who has such a firm grasp over Sadgurudeo's Siddhant or course principle of Brahma Vidya. Vijayji. Vijayji is joining us from the New Jersey, New York to talk about a topic called discipline in spirituality. As we all know, the ultimate goal of our life is to get enlightenment. We get enlightenment through the practice of spirituality. Like all practices which we do in our lives, spirituality also requires certain mental disciplines. Therefore, I invite Vijayji to share his knowledge with all of us so that we can benefit from it. Over to you, Vijayji.
Thank you, Anandji, and everyone. बोले सदगुरुदेव भगवान की जय. Since now we have entered in the phase of introspection, in the phase where it is time to sit quietly and observe the flow of emotions, the transformation, the changes in the priorities of life. Everything will happen in the course of the interaction that we are going to have now. So to begin into this journey of satsang, I request everyone to please stabilize your body. Sit like statue, either on the chair or on the ground, wherever you are. But try to have a firm control on your body. Sit straight and focus on your breath. Just experience how the breath goes in and out. While you concentrate on your breath, I chant few dohas from Swarved as our collective devotion towards Sadguru. Indriya mana vani ashan sant sanyami hoy अटल नियम दृढ़ संत का दृढ़ प्रतिज्ञ पर सोय साधक नियमित रूप में निशिदिन कर अभ्यास नियम चाल जग प्रकृति का त्यों साधक क्रम पास निद्रा भोजन नियम से नहीं न्यूनाधिक होय समयबद्ध साधन चले, संग साथ नहीं कोय। नियमित दोनों काल में, ब्राह्म मुहूर्त सुधार। योगाभ्यास दृढ़ हो चले, सब अंग पूर्ण संवार। नियमित नित सत्संग में, बैठे शांत स्वभाव। हरि गुरु सुयश श्रवण सुनी, अंतर प्रेम प्रभाव। सद्गुरु आज्ञा नियम में, कर सिद्धांत प्रचार। वर्तो सहज स्वभाव में, सेवा शरण आधार। Sadguru Sadafal Devji Maharaj has spoken about niyam, the discipline, in various dimensions of our life, of our spiritual life. Swamiji said, even in our daily life, the discipline is essential. It's not optional, but it's essential in order to have a prosperity in our life, in order to attain the perfect balance in our life, so that we are available for our spiritual growth with not only the 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 physic but also with the mind and willingness, in order for us to be 100% present joyfully for the spiritual growth. It is important that we must attain a proper balance in our daily life, in our daily activity. And Sadhguru Sadafal Devji Maharaj, that's why emphasized the importance of niyam, the discipline, in everything we do. He said, Indriya man vani ashan, sant sanyami hoy, अटल नियम दृढ़ संत का दृढ़ प्रतिज्ञ पर सोई. So Swamiji says we should have control on our indriyas, on our mind, on our speech, and the way we behave in our day-to-day life. When he speaks about niyam, the niyam or the discipline can be understood in two different aspects. One aspect is the quantity. How much of anything? That also comes under discipline. How much of anything? If let's say we talk about the food, how much of how much quantity of a food you should have, that comes under discipline. If we overeat or we undereat, in both scenarios, we will lose the balance of our life. Similarly, when he speaks about the sleep, the quantity of the sleep has to be monitored. How much is suitable for us to feel energized and active at the end of the sleep. Less sleep is also prohibited, and so is the more than required. If we oversleep, that also you know causes the tamogun to rise within ourselves. So excess of sleep or food has to be watched. We need to see how much is appropriate for us. What is perfect nutrition of the food? We have to, you know, think about it, that what balance, what combination of food we should eat so that we feel nutritious, we feel complete. Swamiji in Swarved specifically mention the term called swasthya vigyan, meaning whatever the health science suggests. So scientifically, whatever is essential for us to eat, we must make a proper balance of that, and adopt in our life. So this is about quantity, but there is other aspect of the niyam. There is other aspect of the niyam, and that is the kram, meaning the sequence. So when we talk about discipline in spirituality, we have to think about quantity and we have to think about sequence. Unless we put things in proper order, in proper sequence, adherence to the discipline is challenging. But when you put things in sequence, then slowly it becomes our nature. Automatically, we start, conducting those activities one after other, because that's how you program yourself with on daily basis. So how much to do a certain thing is one aspect of the discipline, but when to do certain thing is another aspect of discipline. So quantity and the sequencing both have to be put in our consciousness. How much to eat, how much to sleep, how much to talk, how much to browse. For example, we are browsing internet for certain thing. It should be aim oriented. Whatever is essential, whatever is required, Swamiji says, do not go beyond that if you really want to lead a spiritual life. For a spiritual person, it is very important to practice sanyam. We need to practice sanyam. Sanyam on our indriyas, the mind. When we say sanyam, sanyam means to do things only to the extent required and not beyond. That's what is called sanyam. You don't go an inch beyond what is needed. That is what is sanyam. Sanyam does not mean that you withdraw yourself from essential things. That's not sanyam. Sanyam means you do things which are essential for running your day-to-day life, but you do it only in appropriate quantity, not beyond that. If we have to engage in our daily life, in office, in family, in friends, activities, this and that, everything should be properly monitored and should not be done with the flow of our uncontrolled mind. And that's why the spirituality the practice of spirituality become integral in our day-to-day life when we practice sanyam in everything, when we practice constraints, when we start restraining ourselves, kind of gauging ourselves in everything we do. Similarly, when Swamiji spoke about meditation, daily life, anyway, we understand that the quantity and sequencing are important for anything we do. If you want to attain certain goal, physical goal, the materialistic goal in our life, Swamiji says that first you have to sequence it. When do you want to put an effort into that? What is the first thing that you want to do, and what is the next thing you want to do, and where your effort for a certain goal fit in that sequence. We have to give a slot for it and then adhere to it. Swamiji also gives example of the nature, and he says, look at the sun, look at the moon, look at the trees, everything is disciplined. The sun, the earth goes around the sun in a certain direction. It follows the discipline. And that's how we see the sun rising from the east, setting in the west. It's also because it's adhering to a discipline. Everything that the God has created under a discipline, including our own body. Our body also has a discipline within itself. But if we break that discipline, that's when we start getting restless, unhealthy. And so Swamiji says that once you put discipline in your daily life, then not only you attain a proper emotions in your mind, not only you stay energized and inspired to do anything in your life, but also your life become prosperous. Similarly, in meditation, Swamiji says that it is important to have discipline in meditation. And here the discipline means again the quantity and sequencing. Swamiji says minimum 10 minutes. Minimum 10 minutes. That discipline we have to bring in our life. And also, नियमित दोनों काल में स्वामी जी says नियमित दोनों काल में ब्रह्म मुहूर्त सुधार योगाभ्यास दृढ़ हो चले सब अंग पूर्ण संवार. The meditation has to be done with discipline at least 2 times a day. But when will you fit those 2 times? Once in the morning, once in the evening. What time in the morning? Or not about time, but at what sequence in the morning, that we have to find it and fit the meditation into that slot. Once we fix in the sequence and then start working towards it, if that sequence is not working, then correct it. Correct it till we find a proper sequencing where the meditation can fit in. But it has to be worked on consciously. Only when we consciously work on adopting a practice, then it becomes integral part of our daily habit. Swamiji says that our sanskaras are the prime factor behind what we like to do and what we dislikes to do at a certain point of time. It is it is not a constant, you know, uh, feeling about liking and disliking. Certain thing that you like today on the rise of certain other sanskaras, your liking will convert into disliking, or you'll be indifferent to it. You become neutral to it. While at other time, maybe you would really love to do that. So our liking and disliking is dependent on what kind of sanskara is risen up, what kind of sanskara is up right now, active right now. So in order to attain the proper sanskara which supports our spiritual life, it is important to fit those activities in our life, in our slot, in a sequence of activities which supports the spiritual sanskar. And that is why Swamiji says that there has to be discipline in meditation practice. Because meditation practice, when we practice meditation, as Vihangam Yoga prescribes, the level one meditation is about bringing your mind to stillness. Even if you don't like meditating right now, but if we bring that discipline in our daily life, that no matter what, whether I like it or I don't like it, I still want to give 10 minutes of my time in taking this pill, pill of meditation. I have to just be there and work upon bringing my mind to stillness for 10 minutes in the morning. I have to devote this time. Now, even though you don't like it, but if you sit for 10 minutes and start working on making your mind still, there is one good thing which is happening in your life. Your healing power, you know, right now, let's say you sleep for, let's say, 8 hours, then you feel fresh. Why is that so? Why is that? Our sleep quantity is way longer than what you know could have been achieved in 5 hours or 6 hours. It is only because our healing process is slow. When we sleep in the night, the body starts working upon repairing all the damages in our body. And for this repairing to work, it is essential that there should be calmness in the body. There should be restfulness in the body. More the restfulness, the faster is the healing of the body. And that's why, even though you like it or you don't like it, but if you work upon bringing your mind to stillness every day, sitting 10 minutes for meditation in the morning, it's not a waste of time. Even though you're not able to control the mind, it doesn't matter. You are putting an effort in bringing your mind to stillness. When you put an effort, it is bringing the waves of restfulness flow throughout all in every cells of your body. When you sit in meditation and try to bring stillness in your mind, you're not only bringing stillness to your mind, but as you sit quietly and start feeling at least few seconds of the stillness of the mind, that is that is the moment when that stillness, that restfulness spreads throughout your body, and every cells of your body then start getting restful. So even though you're doing in bits and pieces, you're restful, and then okay, you get a thought, you go away, it does not matter. You're still putting an effort and trying to slowly weave, one stitch at a time, but slowly you are bringing restfulness in every cell of your body, which is what will work in a period of time to reduce your sleep quantity. So as we practice meditation, whether with liking or disliking, if you sit 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the evening, two times minimum, you will see that the first and foremost important improvement in your life is that you will start gaining time. You're giving 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the evening, but you'll see that eventually you'll start gaining time. You'll be more restful, your sleep quality will improve, and at the same time, with Sanyam, with control in our senses, everything that you do, you will see that you're not overdoing things anymore because you're practicing to have a control on your mind. So that control will start reflecting in our every other activities as well. And eventually your 20 minutes of investment will start returning you an hour of time or more than that. We waste so much of time doing something which was not necessary, and suddenly, after few months of practice of meditation, you'll see a dramatic change and you don't feel like wasting your time anymore. So those change in virtues within yourself is what we call the change in sanskara. So when you practice meditation, through the practice of meditation only, the vrittis of our chitta can be altered. There was a question raised to Swamiji. Swamiji, I don't feel like meditating. I don't feel love for meditation. Probably my sanskara is not right. How can I improve my sanskara? Swamiji very clearly says that only when you practice meditation, no matter what, whether you like it or you don't like it, only when you practice meditation, you create the possibility of changing your sanskara. Because even though you get influenced by somebody's statement, somebody says something and you feel a change within yourself at that point of time, but then that change to become your nature, it is essential that you uproot it, and what you call that, you basically put it in the ground and make a strong root of that change so that it grows into tree and starts giving fruits and flowers. So only when that change is very strongly rooted to the foundation of your life, the change that you want to bring in, the change of sanskara that you want to see within yourself, if that change is rooted strongly in the foundation of your life, it is only then that change is permanent. Otherwise, that change is temporary. And anything to be rooted strongly in the foundation of our life, it is essential that you should have a fertile land. You should have a land where any seed that you know sow sow in, it should germinate and it should stay. It should not get killed because of land not being fertile. So meditation, what meditation does, meditation creates that very conducive environment within ourselves for change. Only when we meditate on daily basis, then we bring the the seriousness needed for adopting any change within ourselves. Instead of saying seriousness, I'll correct myself, I'll say stillness. Instead of seriousness, I'll say stillness and adherence. Only when we meditate on daily basis, every day twice. No matter whether you are liking it or not right now, it doesn't matter. But if you still meditate twice daily, only then we create the conducive environment within ourselves to bring any change in our life. If you want to change our habit, something that we are very, very guilty about, every time we think that, oh, I want to do this, but then out of our habit, we just, get carried away. We don't do that. We don't correct ourselves. We are driven by our habits. Swamiji says that even in those aspects, the sadhana, the meditation is the solution. If you just work on meditation, then everything else will start, getting corrected. They will start getting into discipline automatically. If we discipline our meditation, the everything else, you will develop the character of discipline within yourself. And so everything else that you do, you will start seeking discipline in every other aspect of your life. You won't like doing random if you are very systematic with meditation. If I am very systematic with meditation, then only I can expect to be systematic with anything else. So Sadgurudeo, that's why says that discipline in meditation is very, very essential. Similarly, discipline in satsang, discipline in daily life, discipline in meditation, discipline in satsang is also equally important. Swamiji says, नियमित नित सत्संग में बैठे शांत स्वभाव हरि गुरु सुयशस श्रवण सुनी अंतर प्रेम प्रभाव. Many of us think that I don't feel love for the guru. How to increase my love? How can I increase my devotion for Guru, for Almighty? The solution is satsang. Only when we choose to connect to satsang, where we sing glory of Guru, the glory of Almighty, only by hearing the gunagan, the glory of Guru and Ishwar again and again, not just one time, read Svarved or any other book where we have Guru Leela or the wisdom of Guru, the Svarved itself, by reading those verses, by listening to satsang, all these are aspect of satsang only. But only when we do on a regular basis. We have to keep charging ourselves with the gungan of Guru and Ishwar, with the glorification of Guru and Ishwar. Only when we are constantly in touch with the glory of the Guru, the love will blossom for the Guru. But if one is not in touch with satsang of any form, whether be the self-study or joining the conference like this, if one is not in touch with satsang of any form, then slowly the Maya will take over. Maya takes over, and so your priorities, your likings and disliking is also then governed by what is overpowering your mind. So satsang creates that balance. When we join satsang with discipline on regular basis, then you maintain that balance within your mind and you don't get overdriven by Maya. You know what's the gift of spirituality? The best gift of spirituality is not that you won't have problem in your life, but you will have problem in your life anyway, because we are living in this mortal land and everything is mortal. When things are mortal, nothing is going to remain constant. Things will keep changing. So things will never happen the way we want all the time. It will happen for some time, but then there'll be some variations and it will go beyond your expectations. That's what is the nature of this Maya. But what spirituality does, it just creates the strength within ourselves. It creates the wisdom within ourselves to sail through it. So it is important that when we constantly remain in touch with satsang, then the energy or the strength which is required to bear the change of the Maya and not be affected by that change. That power, that energy is maintained or is nourished within ourselves only through satsang. When we connect to satsang, we keep our mind, our soul charged with that wisdom. And through that awakened wisdom, we are then able to deal with all the problems in our life without being affected. So, niyamitta, the discipline in satsang, is also equally important. And then Swamiji speaks about discipline in seva. So, discipline in daily life, discipline in meditation, discipline in satsang, similarly, discipline in seva. When we talk about discipline in seva, Swamiji, has used two terms for seva. One is called niyamit seva. Niyamit seva, meaning the seva which you do on daily basis. And then there is one naimittik seva. Naimittik seva means the seva which is done on a particular occasion, a particular purpose, and it's not a daily thing. It's just for that particular occasion. And Swamiji says that niyamit and naimittik, the disciplined seva and the seva as required, both are important for a disciple. So one must look forward to do some seva which you can do on daily basis. When we say daily here, daily means a regular term, on a regular basis. We should have some seva which we should not be only connected to naimittik seva, meaning only on demand. Okay, something which somebody makes a call to disciple and say, hey, can you help in this seva? Oh, yes, I can do that. That's naimittik seva. That's not niyamit seva. That's naimittik seva, on demand seva. But Swamiji says that there is importance of both seva. We cannot just rely on demand seva. Then we are not a perfect sevak. For us to be a perfect sevak, we have to have some niyamita seva, some regular seva in our life. And the reason behind that is that eventually, whether we are meditating or whether we are bringing discipline in our day to day life, whatever discipline we spoke so far, whether bringing discipline in daily life, bringing discipline in meditation, bringing discipline in satsang, everything boils down to one thing, and that is to create the opportunity within ourselves to grow for the prime purpose of human life. Why do you want to seek or extract time from our daily life so that we can devote our time in raising our consciousness and reaching to the higher purpose of our life? Satsang, meditation, discipline, everything is rooted to one thing. It's just that so that we can live a more fulfilled life and create room for spiritual growth within our life. But this spiritual growth, the foundation of the spiritual growth is the seva bhav. If the seva bhav itself is not within our heart, seva bhav is like a burning fire. Only when you keep giving ignition to the fire will stay alive. Otherwise, it will go out of ignition and the fire will go off. So every day we have to feed the seva activity to our seva bhav. Otherwise, our seva bhav, the fire of seva bhav, will extinguish without the ingredient of seva. So Niyamit Seva is very essential to keep the Seva Bhav up and burning all the time within our heart. And only when the Seva Bhav stays live within our heart, there is a possibility of any anubhav, any experience, spiritual experience in meditation. Let's say we are meditating on daily basis. We started getting the physical benefit. We are getting the stillness of the mind, our health is improving. But that is not the prime purpose of Vihangam Yoga meditation. The prime purpose of Vihangam Yoga meditation is to attain the spiritual experiences. And those inner experiences are awakened. It is not earned. It is awakened within ourselves by the grace of the Guru. सेवा जित प्रिय शिष्य में यह अनुभव गति आए. That experience comes to you. You don't get it. Swamiji did not say that anubhav gati pai. He did not say that you get it with your own effort. Rather, these experiences will, come down to you. It will come to your consciousness only when we become seva jit priya shishya. दुर्लभ इस सन्मार्ग को भाग्यवान नर पाए. सेवा जित प्रिय शिष्य में यह अनुभव गतिया. So everything boils down to just one thing. Are we able to sustain the seva bhav within ourselves? That's why we wanted to have discipline in everything. Discipline in our daily life, discipline in meditation, discipline in satsang, so that I can sustain the seva bhav within ourselves. When seva bhav is diluting, that is a red warning sign. And we must start working on the basics. And what is the basic? Basic is again discipline. Discipline is the foundation of everything. So if seva bhav is diluting down, then we should start watching on the discipline in our daily life first. Okay, do I have basic discipline in our life? Am I practicing control on everything that I do in my life? It starts from there again. And once you see that, okay, there are scopes where I can improve upon, then we should start watching discipline in our meditation as well. In fact, both can go in parallel. When we start seeking discipline in meditation, automatically the discipline in our daily life also improves. But Seva Bhav is something that is very internal. And for that to rise, the conducive sanskara has to be up. Our sanskara has to be pure. And sanskara can stay pure with only pure actions. Only when our actions are pure. If our actions are impure, if we know certain thing that we are doing wrong, then that is what is causing the hurdles in creating the conducive environment within ourselves. So actions have to be pure. We have to work on that. It has to be righteous. So with all this together, the collective goal is to have a burning seva bhav within our heart. And so Swamiji says that niyamit seva is essential. Naimittik seva is one thing, on demand seva is one thing, but niyamit seva is very, very essential. So, every one of us who really want to make the fruitful use of this human opportunity, then the first and foremost thing is to find a way to connect to a niyamit seva, a regular seva. And Swamiji says that सदगुरु आज्ञा नियम में कर सिद्धांत प्रचार वर्तो सहज स्वभाव में सेवा चरण आधार. So one very simple seva for everyone that Swamiji has, in general, asked, has given as an instruction to everyone, every disciple, is to constantly think about prachar. If we think about prachar, Siddhant Prachar, the talk about the spiritual philosophy to others, talk about Sarvet to others. When we put a constant effort in this direction, then slowly we become a pracharak. And Swamiji starts giving energy and wisdom in order to be very fluid in talking about Vihangam Yoga to others. But only when we bring this discipline within ourselves that, okay, I will do this on regular basis. Every week I must speak to minimum these many people about Vihangam Yoga. If this kind of discipline we bring within ourselves, then slowly this will start, you know, creating the ambience within ourselves, which is very conducive for the rise of Seva Bhav. So if we keep talking about Svarved, keep talking about Vihangam Yoga to others, whatever reflections you get, if we could just remember Sadgurudeo all the time, either in the moment of rejections or in the moment of acceptance. In both moments, if we take the opportunity to remember Sadguru, this is how you kind of enhances your seva bhav for the Guru. So Swamiji says discipline in seva is also equally important. So with this, I conclude. If there's any questions or any comments, please feel free to unmute. Thank you.
Thank you, Vijay. Thank you for sharing your experience and insights with all of us. And every time I listen to you, I definitely learn something new. And like you said, no, we need to have a discipline or sanyam in quantity and sequence, right? And sanyam doesn't mean that complete withdrawal. It means that doing and taking things in the necessary amount in the right sequence. Once again, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us. Like Vijay said, right? If anybody has any questions or thoughts, anything they would like to share, please unmute yourself and let's hear them out.
Jai Sadgurudeo. Good morning to all. Thank you so much,
Ji
Vijay,
Ranjit.
thank you so much for constantly reinstating mm, you know, the purpose behind Seva, Satsang, and Sadhana. And I just wanted to also add a comment because I keep listening to satsangs on the YouTube. That and it helps, actually it helps because it just reinstates, and what we hear from the real satsang like this, it just brings more clarity. And there they say that, for example, in the physical material world, everybody has some likeness. We begin to draw some momentary joy in doing something, be it eating food, driving, nature, whatnot, right? And sometimes drawing some sort of joy from some people, and that becomes the purpose for the joy. And it becomes and then we begin to get attached to that, because we are drawing some sort of joy with those subject or objects. And in the same way, in the spiritual world, when we begin to draw joy from one of the spiritual dimensions, which is different from the material subject and object, then a natural joy begins to develop, and that joy begins to develop, and then the giver of the those dimensions, we begin to have attachment towards that, and that is what eventually transforms into prem or love. And that is the whole purpose for the giver of that dimension. So I think in case of the spirituality, like Vijay talked about, the products are seva, satsang, sadhana given by the giver, Sadguru. And when we begin to draw joy in doing or imbibing these products, then there's a natural attachment begins to happen with the giver of these dimensions. And that attachment results into prem or love, true love. And I think the um, um, that is the natural path or the outcome, which is in the right direction, basically. And I think that is the whole purpose for the seva, satsang, and sadhana, that when we do, then it's very, very important that we begin to draw natural joy from these things. And even, like, some people may like one versus the other more, and but the net result, I think the way I've understood is that if we just naturally develop that we are looking forward to that, I think that definitely, because the end result for this whole thing should be a natural love for the giver of this dimension. And when that happens, then naturally the ahamkar gets washed, dissolved. And then I think we become patra for the grace of Sadguru. So just wanted to share that. And what Bijaji was sharing is pretty much like exactly the underlying process. And that is why the Sadguru gives these dimensions to the sadhak, so that it is for us to actually take it and implement it, imbibe it, and take us to the point where we begin to actually enjoy that. And when we do that, then naturally we begin to attach, and then the rest of the process takes place. So just wanted to share that, actually. Yeah. And maybe a question also, maybe Jaji, or if anyone else can help to address, is when we do sadhana, then does that also help to Of course, it will not change one's prarabdha, but it gives one person the ability to sustain that. But does that, like you were saying, that it somehow washes your samskara, it cleanses the samskara, and samskara is pretty much um, it comes from the chitta, the vrittis that emerge in the chitta. So if you could just throw some light, like how it cleanses that dimension and how that helps in the behavior. Thank you.
जी, yes, Uday. जी. Yeah, so sanskaras within our chitta is always changing based on what circumstances we are put into, what kind of actions we are doing on daily basis. Based on our outer circumstances and what we gather from our indriyas, from our mind, it triggers the spikes in our sanskaras of certain quality. So Swamiji says very clearly that, in fact, Prathmacharya Devji, he says very clearly that if we want to, for example, break any pattern that we are caught into, um, um, when we say pattern, meaning when you see certain thing, suddenly a certain sanskara is rising all the time. It's like that's a pattern you're caught into. You look at the subject and certain sanskara, good or bad, whatever, but you will see that every time it happens like that. You see that subject and that will trigger a sanskara within you. So you have set a pattern and it is working very strongly with you on daily basis. Now, how to break this? You see a subject and a certain sanskara is rising, and then that sanskara is driving you into performing actions. Because whatever briti rises, that eventually drives you to perform a certain pattern of actions also. So everything is connected. Subject eventually drives you to perform an action, whether you want it or you don't want it, but you get trapped into that. Now, to break this pattern, you have to create a new pattern. To break this pattern, you have to repeatedly create, not create repeatedly, but you have to create a new pattern and repeatedly follow that new pattern. That is the only way we can change that pattern. So Swamiji is talking about changing the pattern, but Swamiji, truthfully is saying that all the sanskaras, whether good or bad, when we talk about cleansing, here the cleansing is only at the superficial end. It's only at the outer layer, meaning whatever is rising up, only that can be cleansed. But whatever is within, those sanskara will constantly remain in the seed form, and it will remain till we get the Brahma Gyan. And that is why even the rishis who have practiced for several years in the mountain or so, no matter what, and even though they reach to, let's say, the conscious zone, let's say, have acquired the experience of Akshar Brahm, self realization, Atma Sakshatkar, even they are still vulnerable to bad sanskaras because those sanskaras are still there in the seed form. बहुत तक चढ़ी 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 के फिर आए बिरला जन ठहराना चलो जहां बसत पुरुष निर्वाणा. Kabir Sahib also says that those sanskaras which are there in the seed form can any time overpower a yogi and make him or her fall down. So if we are talking about the cleansing from the inner core, that happens only when we unite with Almighty, only at the end. Prior to that, it's always like walking on the sword, uh, the blade of the sword, where
you have to be very, very careful. Neither you can go left nor right. You have to be right on the edge all the time. So when we're talking about cleansing, or the word cleansing that you hear in spiritual arena all the time, that cleansing is only at the superficial end. We can only work upon keeping what sanskaras we want to be awake at that point of time. We can only work on that. But when we talk about wiping the sanskara completely from our chitta, that is possible only by the grace of Sadguru and by the grace of Almighty. The Almighty's grace is received when we unite with Almighty, when the Almighty's consciousness awakens within our consciousness. It is then in that Brahma Gyan the entire sanskaras burn, and then we get free from that. But then the second opportunity of burning those sanskara is Sadguru's grace. Same thing. It's the same thing. Either we unite with the Almighty to cleanse your sanskara, or you get Sadguru's grace. With Sadguru grace, anything can happen. Sadguru can wipe any sanskara from ourselves, from our core. It is in Sadguru's hand and in Almighty's hand. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Vijay.
Thank you, Vijay.
Mm.
Niranji. I mean, with whatever little I know, based on that knowledge, we have three kinds of sanskaras, which is basically sanskaras, which is for which we have prarabdha. Other one is kriyaman sanskaras, and then we have the sanchit sanskaras. So the this body, human body, right? It is said that because of prarabdha, we got this human body. So basically, your body is the your prarabdha, right? And then we have like a kriyaman sanskaras, which is basically whatever experiences you are getting at any moment of your life, right, or beyond. That's your sanskaras, which is basically kriyaman, which is happening right in the moment. And then you have a sanchit sanskaras, which is basically storehouse for all your past sanskaras, and based on that you will probably get you means everybody will get the future human bodies. So it is said that whatever is part of the body, I mean, obviously, whatever is kind of attached, whatever sanskaras you have to get with this body, the prarabdha, you will get it, right? Probably there is no chai in that. It will only chai by, or it will decay only by, you getting the experience. But then the Kriyaman sanskaras and Sanchit sanskaras, I think with the practice, the meditational practices, with the practice of spirituality, you can basically decay those sansaras, right? With the, I mean, you will probably not get that much, bhoga, right, of those sanskaras. It is said that, right? Again, what I'm just communicating is what I know. It may be, there might be more to it, right? Into it. But thank you so much for your question, and Niranjanji, and thank you so much for Vijayji for answering this question.
Thank you so much, Amiji.
Yeah, Vijayji, I have felt very good with your explanation and uh, going through the details of niyamas. And it's very good to have the punctual and straight life like that. Uh, eating at the right time, meditating, doing work. Often it becomes so mechanical though. And life is not like that. Uh, there are changes all the time, every day, circumstances changes. And oftentimes we miss. It's a constant give and take. And I've noticed you feel a little bad, but when you feel a sense of guilt, that's what I have noticed. That's not a good quality of a disciple to feel a guilt. You go to Sadgurudeo and he knows it. You missed it. You overeat sometimes. You miss the meditation, but there is no sense of guilt. You remember the Sadguru, and there is always a pardon. There is no give and take. There is no punishment or reward. It's like uh, I shouldn't say game, but it's just like a wind. You just enjoy the way it's going. Life is just going. As long as you don't overdo very deliberately, then I think it's okay to fall apart a little bit, knowing that remembering Sadguru. Uh, Sometimes you miss. Uh, I feel sometimes I used to feel guilty. And when I started doing that, remembering Sadhguru, uh, even my habits also start breaking. And so the perfection in uh, normality or punctuality sometimes becomes too mechanical. Could you comment on that?
Gee, a very good point that when we don't connect our heart and soul into what we are doing, then the emotion, the software part is gone and it only the physical part remains. And so is in this comment that Hasmukh is making, that when we follow a discipline, but if we lose the essence of that discipline, if we just do it because we get habituated in doing that, then it becomes very mechanical. But then at the same time, unless we make it sequential, it is very difficult to maintain that in our daily life. So the entire purpose of discipline is not to make it mechanical, but to make it regular. The regularity in our life is possible only when we make a discipline slots and routines in our life. If let's say, for the sake of conversation, if we say that because it causes um, the makes it feel mechanical over the period of time because we are doing it over and over and over and over, same thing every day, it feels that it's mechanical. Then why not just randomize it just to make it interesting? But by randomizing, we are creating a higher risk, and the risk is even more painful than uh, what we fear, that maybe it will become mechanical. uh, that fear is still less than the risk of losing that activity altogether. So one thing for sure, that if we don't do or adopt things with discipline in our life, it is very difficult to regularly maintain it in our daily practice. That is one thing. Now, second thing is, with discipline, when we do certain activity over and over again, will it become mechanical? It will become mechanical if our liking and our doing are not matching. Only then it will become mechanical. But if our liking and doing synchronize with the time, for example, when we meditate, and let's say we start getting better at meditation, then our liking will also improve for it. So instead of feeling it mechanical, rather it will start becoming more joyful. If we are, let's say, constraining our food habits, and if that, restrain in what you eat and how much you eat, if that starts giving you result, that, oh, your blood sugar started improving, your blood pressure is good, you feel energized, enthusiastic about doing anything, when you start getting the result of your discipline, then it's no more a mechanical process. You love doing that. So your liking and doing then become one. So there's very less scope of what we are talking about right now. We fear that it will become mechanical, but it will become mechanical only if we don't like doing that. The beauty of meditation is that if we really keep it regular, then not only it integrates into our daily life, but we also start feeling incomplete without it. When let's say you meditate for 3 years in a row, and after 3 years you cannot leave it. Now, if you meditate 3 years in a row, as Swamiji says, Swamiji himself meditated first stage of meditation for 3 years in a row. So when we meditate for 3 years in a row, it becomes so integral to our life that then any day you miss it for any emergency, you will feel that something is missing, and it's a good sign. I mean, we should not seek to feel normal in everything if we are not at that level. If it feels abnormal in missing something which is good for us, it is a good sign. Little bit of turbulence in our life which drives us towards something good is actually a good driver for us. It's a good engine for us to drive into or keep us into the good track. When you also said, Hasmukh Bhai, that we should not feel guilty about, let's say, we missed meditation or we conducted something wrong. We should not feel guilty or should not carry that guilt for beyond a certain point of time. That is correct. That is absolutely correct. But not feeling guilty at all is also not good. If we stop feeling guilty for wrongdoing things, then there's a very high chance that we are becoming a wild species who is free in doing anything which could be righteous or non-righteous. So there has to be a boundary of righteousness around our life, and any moment we cross that boundary, it is good to have a sense of guilt for that. But what Swamiji says that the guilt is only a trigger point. It should not be a daily thing in our life. It must trigger for us to get back to the track. Once we are back to the track, then the guilt should be gone. The job of the guilt is done. We missed the meditation today, we should have a guilt. Oh, I missed the meditation. But tomorrow onwards, you started meditating again, the guilt should be gone now. एक बार this is what happened. Rajkumar ji, our dear Guru Bhai, he said, Swamiji, I'm really feeling guilty that I could not take care of the place, could not judge the place whether this place is suitable for you or not. And I asked you to stay over there, or we made arrangement for you to stay there. Swami said, this is a long gone story. This is like 1 year, 2 years gone, and you're still carrying the guilt of it. The life is to move on. So, as Hasmukh Bhai is suggesting, this same in the same line, Swamiji also says that we should always move on and just learn from mistakes and move on. Correct the mistakes and move on. Should not ever carry the guilt of things. Guilt is just a trigger point to bring us back to the track. That's it. Once that is done, then we should feel relieved. We should feel then rather happy that, oh, good, that now I'm back to track and now I'm doing what is needed. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank you. Ji.
one other thing I wanted to also mention is The mechanicality of any process definitely comes in the way of any kind of initiative, be it in the I mean, sometimes even work for people could become monotonous and also very mechanical sometimes, depending on what kind of environment you have been put into, and that environment keeps on changing. So but because there the driving force is the desire to accumulate wealth, fame. So there has to be this inner engine which will make even the mechanical and monotonous process basically overridable. And that's what so for example, a lot of people go through a lot of monotonous work, and I mean, yeah, just at work, but their driving engine is to accumulate wealth. But by the end of the day, they are willing to go through all that rut of life just because they will gain wealth. And that's what keeps them going, actually, right? And still be pleasured and enjoyed and all that. So I think we can draw some parallelism from there. But the only sad part is that, yes, you're desiring for accumulating wealth, but you only know this as a reality. That's what makes the spirituality uh, different, because now we are looking at a satellite perspective as opposed to on the road perspective, where we are now looking at there's a greater reality beyond what we see today. So I think when that becomes the driving inner desire, then somehow that will override the challenges in terms of monotonicity and everything else, even the mechanical aspect of it, and and the guilt will depend like where we are in the stage of the evolution. In the very beginning stage, it will it will very much be like still lost. It's very much like in the work, when the new joinees come, they're lost in large corporations. But that's when the people are more mature later, then they are at least not lost. They become part of that environment, but they know how to get through that environment. So the situation changes. So I think even in case of the spirituality, in the beginning stages, even there, like I was very lost in my I was basic but that's where the jigyasa basically is the driving element at that time, because you don't know where it is going, but you are still seeking, and you are willing to override those monotonicity. And but later, when it gets to a point where there is no doubt at all that there is a greater reality, then that becomes the dominant driver. And then what happens is, now even if the guilt one can feel in multiple ways, that okay, I missed my meditation, but the other side of the guilt is, oh, how come I had a vismaran of my aradhya? How come I forgot him the whole day today? How can I dedicate everything I did for the last 5 hours without reminiscing onto the lotus feet? So there's multiple avenues that open up when we become more experienced, very much like at the work. Multiple avenues open up to override those things. So I think that is the way we have to look at it multifold, because once we know that the end result is that I want to liberate myself, and how that will happen, once we begin to understand that somehow the ahamkar has to be dissolved. And when that ahamkar dissolved, the only way it gets dissolved is when there is not, when I am not there. Somebody who I truly love even more than I is there. So I think once we implement that in our everyday, and of course, this is not possible at the beginning. If somebody is entering into this spiritual path, there will be a little bit of different kind of struggle. But when we are more down inside, deep into it, then we have more dimensions that open up, more um, uh, elements that we can actually use that will begin to help us overcome the mechanicality, even if we miss meditation, even if we miss all that, but then we pick it up because there's other ways that we can actually fill that gap. So that is why I always kind of go back to this example of when we do engineering competition. There's 3-4 subjects that you do, and you may not be best at all three, but you're just good at some, and you're really good at something else, and you still become an engineer. So I think somehow I still feel that even in the spiritual case, it may be something like that, but maybe in the future we will know even more than that. So that's just my perspective. Thank you.
What I meant was, it's not a guilt. It's really a sense of missing something. And when you miss something and you realize it, you don't feel guilt. One should not feel guilt. Like a game, a tennis game. If your only purpose is to win the game, it becomes stressful sometimes. If you just play the game for joy, then it's joy, pure joy. The meditation and the practice sadhana should be joy. Sadguru is not trying to give a score, keep a score, you win or lose. It's just a mutual relationship that I'm here at your feet. And there may be sometimes I miss my duties, but Gurudev knows it. And just like a child, the mother always forgives. His love is always there. There is constant give and take in terms of relationship. So we just have to take it as a continuous relationship of love. And in love, there's always forgive and given, because it becomes a problem only when you deliberately indulge into it. You keep a habit you like overeating one time and you start doing tomorrow again and again. That's indulgement. And that's when mother will also punish the child. Guru, they will also punish. But as long as there is understanding, it's a flexible game. Love is not just monotonous, continuous, same thing. So when we have that kind of a feeling, and a longing is always there, then I think um, even disciple knows Sadgurudev has forgiven that. And like Vijay, you said, you move on. There is no guilt there. It's already forgotten. As long as that relationship of love is always there. Thank you.
Gee, thank you so much. Yes, totally, absolutely.
Uh, so I would want to give a big thanks to everyone who has joined this discussion and took part in the session. Your excitement and thoughtful questions and insights have made this is a really great experience for all of us. Together, we are building a strong base for sharing the life-changing power of Vihangam Yoga. Anyone who has joined this session for the very first time, please introduce yourself, share how you have learned about this satsang. So yeah, again, I invite you, anybody who has joined this session for very first time, please feel free to introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Naveen Dhar. I'm joined for the first time. I actually happened to be in Kashi, and that's where I had gone to the mandir, and I have been in the group for a while, but I have joined. I don't know why I joined today, but something forced me to join today, so I joined today.
Thank you. Thank you for joining and welcome to the group.
Thank you, sir.
नमस्ते नवीन जी, आप कहाँ पे रहते हैं?
सर मैं शिकागो में रहता हूँ, नेपरविल में।
अच्छा अच्छा अच्छा, ओके।
when did you start joining the Vihangam Yoga? Ji?
सर मैं वो गया था, मंदिर गया था, that was I think about last April. So that's where they gave me the initiation. So I haven't been regular, but like I said, something compelled me to join today, so I'm here today, just following what I felt like.
Nice. Yeah, thank you for joining. I think this could be a beginning of something new, right, in your life. So you never know.
Yes.
But thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Anybody else who has joined the very first time?
जी नमस्कार, मेरा नाम गौरव है। मैं भी पहली बार ज्वाइन किया है आज।
जी
मैं नॉर्थ कैरोलिना कैरी में रहता हूँ।
जी जी।
अच्छा गौरव जी, तो वहाँ तो नॉर्थ कैरोलिना के टीम से आप टच में होंगे ना?
हाँ जी, श्रीरंग जी ने मेरा इनिशिएशन किया था और मैं योगेश जी के साथ, श्रीरंग जी के साथ और योगेश जी के साथ और अमित जी के साथ, उनके साथ ही कर रहा हूँ।
जी गौरव जी, यू आर इन द बेस्ट हैंड्स।
मुझे भी ऐसा ही लग रहा है।
जी, thank you, Gaurav ji, for introducing yourself. I think we have met in that bhajan night, if I'm not wrong. But yeah, thank you for introducing yourself and welcome to the group.
Thank you.
And one thing I just wanted to share that when I had joined the Vihangam Yoga, before that it was all bookish knowledge actually. It was all about, but I had the hunger to actually learn. But once I started joining the satsang, and then I think a lot of those understanding began to evolve. So the real satsang is I think absolutely critical. At least it may not be applicable for everybody. Like every soul is different, right? I mean, their path is different, their tendencies are different. But this is what another thing that we talk about in both the Saturday and Sunday satsang is that for some other dimension may be more impactful. For some, in my case, the satsang was like absolutely critical. And so just wanted to share that perspective. So whoever I discuss about spirituality, this is the one thing that I always mention about, that when we listening on YouTube from multiple or even Googling and trying to kind of understand deeper into these things, apparently I used to take that, okay, this is what we call satsang. But later realized that it was not satsang, that was swadhyay, self-study. So self-study is also very important, but that is preliminary. The actual understanding begins to happen once we become part of the satsang, and we debate like this, we discuss like this, and clarify. And I think because here there are people who have deeper understanding of Swarved, and for someone like me, even though my inner desire is always to kind of read that whole thing, understand, but it never happens. Just with the satsang, you get all that knowledge, and then it really helps so much. So just wanted to also, it's kind of like a personal story on that. Thanks.
Sure. I mean, bookish knowledge, book is all about giving ideas and thoughts, right? Practice of spirituality is all about basically going beyond thoughts. Thought is nothing but a mind, right? So unless we are in the mind, we'll definitely will not go beyond mind and experience the true spirituality. So bookish knowledge is good. Everybody has to read the book, understand what concepts are, what ideas are, what thoughts are, right? Which writer is trying to convey. But then the real spirituality begins when you start to do practice, right? With practice, you gain experience and you gain the certitude of your mind, right? That's where your chittavritti stops and you go beyond mind. So that's my perspective on it. Again, like you said, there are advanced sadhakas in Vihangam Yoga family, and I'm always trying to learn from that. And I just want to share my insights, right? What I have. But thank you so much for sharing your insight. So once again, heartful thanks to all the participants who have actively engaged in this discussion and brought up insights and thoughts and shared the interesting facts with others. Thank you so much. Now we'll move on to the Shanti part. This is the last phase of today's satsang. I would request everyone to sit down for the Shanti part. In Shanti part, we chant for the peace for everyone in this universe. May Sadgurudeo bless the entire cosmos with peace, love, and prosperity. I would now request Devji to recite the last few lines of Shanti part for us. Devji.
Jai Sri Gurudev. Shanti Path. Hey Prabhu Shanti Sarupa Ho. Shanti Shanti Maya Shanti. Shanti 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 Ho. Parna Shanti Maya Shanti. Hey Prabhu Shanti Pradana Kara. Suraho Sarva Shanti. Deva Sada Full Shanti Maya. Shanti Shanti Sukha Shanti. Just Gurudev Bhagwan Ki Jai. Thank you.
Thank you, Devji, for a soulful recitation of the Shanti part. I would like to thank all of you for joining today's satsang. I encourage everyone to ponder upon the topics which we discussed today. I would like to extend a heartful thank to Shulbha ji, Vijay ji, Dev ji for their seva, and Niranjan ji, Hasmukh ji, Naveen ji, and Gaurav ji for active engagement in the session, and the entire Vihangam Yoga team for organizing and coordinating the satsang. I pray to Sadgurudev for peaceful and spiritual week ahead of all of us. See you next Sunday at 9 a.m. EST on the same Zoom session. Have a wonderful day and a week ahead. Jai Sadgurudev.